Hello and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we're going to be talking about the books that are, in my opinion, must-read fantasy and sci-fi series. So these are series that I absolutely love and adore and just need everyone to read because they are fantastic. So these are a mix of ongoing and completed series. Some of them, the last book is still coming out. Some of them we still have a while until the last book is out, and there'll be more in the series and stuff. But a majority of these I have read most of the books. So they will be ones where I've read at least two books in the series or more if I can, and if it is a proper series. So starting with a pretty iconic fantasy trilogy, one that I feel like everyone has read, but if you haven't, you're really missing out and you really should get on that and fix that. And that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I love these books. These are definitely more grim, dark fantasy, I would say, than strictly like normal fantasy. For these ones, you should definitely be checking out the content warnings. These do deal with very tough and adult themes and contents. These are war books and they really don't shy away from the atrocities that are committed in war. But book one, The Poppy War, we start out with following Rin. She is born in the South. She is from a very poor family and stuff, and she's never known where her life will go. Her family really don't like her and appreciate her. They think she's a burden more than anything. But her goal is to join this prestigious academy. It trains the future soldiers and warlords and all sorts of things for the country. And she wants to go there and learn how to become a strategist and fight and do all this stuff. So it's really following her on that journey to getting there and the impending war and civil war that follows all of this stuff. These are beautiful and heartbreaking reads. Rin is such a strong and powerful character, but really makes some questionable decisions that you have to sit with and deal with the outcome of it with her. And these books are just heartbreaking, but so beautiful in the best way possible. The Poppy War has also got a new special edition that is out, which is beautiful, and I think definitely fits the book more than the normal covers that this series has. If you love Asian-inspired fantasy, these books are absolutely perfect for you. It covers a lot of themes and topics that we saw throughout the Sino War and a lot of the stuff that happened there. If you know anything about Nanking, you will know where this book will go. But these are very heavy but very important reads. It's a really interesting look at war, the atrocities that are committed, the way people act and react to that, and so many other different topics. It is just a wonderful series. Another series that is pretty heavy as well, where the last book has just come out, is the Halfling Saga by Melissa Blair. These are they definitely are more romantic-y, but again, this doesn't shy away from tougher topics. But the main plot of the book series is it follows Kira, our laid to the king's assassin, and she is tasked to track down the Shadow, who is basically trying to ruin the Empire and the Crown. The Shadow is this being that we don't really know who they are, and they are targeting routes where there's trade routes and stuff, and grain and food being taken between cities, and the where the castle and the king is, and destroying them, and also freeing halflings from slavery. And we explore what the Shadow is, who the Shadow is, and what their role is in all of this, and how this whole thing just changes Kira's worldview, and it really just sparks and spirals from there. This is such a breathtaking and wild series. Like I did say, it is romantic. It's got a lot of spicy aspects to it. Romance is a big theme in this as well, but it really tackles a lot of other themes that you are used to seeing in more high fantasy books and does it really well. This is set in a world where Fae have disappeared. They don't know where they have gone, and we've only got the halflings left. And Kira is an older main character as well, which is something I really enjoy because she is halfling. She does live longer than the average human, obviously, but she is still an older main character, and she has lived a full life before we have seen her and have been introduced to her. So I really enjoy when we get to explore more of her character. She has quite a few issues with addiction and alcohol addiction especially, and it's really interesting seeing the authors look at that and the way that she deals with such a tough topic. This is very heavily inspired by the way that a lot of Indigenous people are treated, especially in the US and Canada, and there's a lot of reminiscent things there of just the treatment of Indigenous people all over the globe. We've also got a lot of queer representation in this book. It's also got a lot of topics and discussions around colonization and colonialism, and just does such an amazing job at tackling these topics in a really easy to understand way through a fantasy world. Next, we have got The Roots of Chaos Saga. Now, we've currently got 2 books out. There will be another one coming out soon. These are all interconnected standalones. So they're standalones all set in the same world at different points of time. You might know these as the Dragon Doorstopper books. So we've got A Day of Fallen Night, which is the prequel, and Priory of the Orange Tree, which is set a good few hundred years after Fallen Night. These are epic fantasies. We've got dragons, sapphic characters, queer characters, amazing little romance subplots, and just beautiful character work, and it's just such a compelling plot. So, A Day of Fallen Night is the prequel. Like I said, we follow a different cast of characters in this, and we've got a queen from one area a princess who's trying to find her own way and figure out what kind of queen she will become. We also have characters based in the Priory of the Orange Tree, which are the ones that fight these wyverns and dragons, but they haven't been seen for centuries, and all of the people there are kind of starting to lose hope and to not understand what their purpose is anymore. So we follow some characters dealing with that, and just characters all over. We've got some dragon riders as well, or people that will become dragon riders. We've got areas in the east too. It just explores so many different cultures and areas, and it's so fun. And Prairie of the Orange Tree is similar, but we've also got a plague in this one. It is one that maybe came from dragons and wyverns, maybe somewhere else, and we've got to navigate these infected areas that have been taken over by the bad forces that are these wyverns. And they're just so interesting. These are both sapphic and queer and have some really amazing characters. We've got asexual characters as well, and some little romance subplots that don't take over the whole story, but are just a nice thing to kind of ease the burn of some of this stuff. The Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee is another series I really love. This is definitely more of an urban fantasy. It's similar to The Godfather in some ways, I guess. I think that's what I've seen people comparing it to. But this is set in an alternate version of Hong Kong, or a city that is very reminiscent of Hong Kong. And it is about gang wars and different clans and the fight for power. And it is such a brutal book again, but it has some of the best character work I have ever seen. So Jade City is our first book, and we follow the family from the Greenbone clan. We have got 2 brothers and 1 sister, and we're basically looking at their struggle and fight for power within this clan and how they can stop a war from spiraling out of control. In this world, we have people that can wear jade, and it gives them all like heightened abilities, but only certain people have the blood and the capacity to be able to wield and wear jade. Otherwise, it can be too much and can kill them with its power. And then we've got another clan that is fighting for control and power in this area. This whole city is divided by the 2 of them. We've got the Greenbone clan and the No Pig clan, and it's looking at that war building, looking at these families and these clans that used to work together that now no longer do, and why that is the case. And if you love a good urban fantasy, this is perfect for you. I just really love it. It has got just amazing character work and some really strong female characters as well. Now for a YA fantasy series that I absolutely love and wish had come out when I was a teenager, because it would have been my shit, and that is The Legendborn Cycle by Tracy Deonn. We've only got 2 books out at the moment, Legendborn and Bloodmarked, but book 3 will be coming out very soon. I'm not usually a love triangle person, but these are the perfect example of a good love triangle. So these are an Arthurian reimagining. We follow Bree, who is a young black girl who has just lost her mother, and she ends up going to this college program and stuff and gets roped into this weird Arthurian kind of thing that's going on. There is bloodlines of the Round Table and the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur, and she gets roped up in all of this. We've got Selwyn, who is trying to kill her. He thinks that she's a demon. And then we've got the descendant of King Arthur, who she is slowly falling in love with, but there's also something going on with Selwyn as well. And these books are just so much fun. They are YA, but they're definitely a little bit more upper YA, like 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and they're just so good. This again doesn't shy away from a lot of tough topics. It looks a lot at slavery and how this plays a part in the outcome of these books and this world. And it's just such a breathtaking and soul-crushing and heartbreaking fantasy series that I cannot wait to see where it goes. It is honestly phenomenal. It is such a unique and interesting take on Arthurian legend and mythology, and a new spin on it that is so unique and modern. A sci-fi trilogy I just finished in December was the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. This is one of my favorite book series of all time. This is just incredible. So the Broken Earth trilogy starts with the 5th season. It's set in a world where every few centuries, every few hundred years, they have things that are called the fifth season. It's where the world ends. Well, people end, but the world keeps going. So it's following three different characters throughout a fifth season. We've got a young girl, a young woman, and then just a grown woman. One of our main characters, Essen, she has just discovered that her husband has killed her son and run off with her daughter. So it starts with her trying to find out what has happened and where her child has gone. In this world as well, we have people that can control earthquakes and either make them bigger or stop them from happening. So they're very important in the survival of this, but they are controlled by the fulcrum or the government, and a lot of villagers don't like them and don't want them in their comms. So Essen is origin, and so were her children, which is why she figured her son was killed. And it really follows her journey of trying to track her husband and her daughter down, as well as like find out what happened and just dealing with this impending end of the world. There are so many other levels to it. We get such a good look at characters and oppression, and it just is really an incredible exploration of humanity. The way that the different POVs all weave together is just so masterful and so unique. And the overarching plot through these books and the final reveals at the end are heartbreaking, but so satisfying. This is a groundbreaking and earth-shattering trilogy that I just think everyone needs to read at least once, because these books are literally astounding, and I just never stop thinking about these. They are incredible. For more sci-fi, we've got the Textkalan duology by Arcadia Martin. These are some of my favorite sci-fi books of all time. They're very political and just so beautiful, and I'm just in such awe that someone can create these books. So book one, A Memory Called Empire, follows Mahit, who is from a station, and she is getting sent to replace their station's old ambassador in Textkalan. He had basically died somehow, but he hadn't been back to their station in decades. The LaSalle station, where she's from, also uses these implants in people's brain to pass on knowledge, so no knowledge is ever lost. But because this ambassador hadn't been back in decades, they have a very outdated one. So they don't know the current climate that they're walking into in Textkalan. And it's Mahit's job to go there, find out what happened to her predecessor, and find out why he died or was maybe killed, and figure out what's going on there. She basically is walking into an impending civil war. It is messy, it is confusing, and she is way out of her depths. But it is just such an interesting exploration of characters and humanity and power. It's also got some cute little romance subplots as well that is sapphic, and some just beautiful poetic writing. The way the Textkalan itself works is just very like centered around poetry and indirect insults and everything. So it's very reminiscent of kind of classical insults in that sense. And it is just such an incredible duology. Book two is somehow 10 times better than book one, and just does such an incredible job at expanding upon what we already had and making it even better, but then making everything so complete and satisfying. And it's just such an incredible and inspiring duology. And the final series is another favorite. It is The Locked Tomb by Tamsin Muir. I love these books so much. I actually have a Locked Tomb tattoo, and they are just incredible. So these are, again, pretty tough books to explain, just because there is so much that happens in them, and you kind of just need to read them to find out. The book one, Gideon the Ninth, it is kind of like a Hunger Games style survival book. So it follows necromancers and their cavaliers from each of the 9 houses. They are all sent to this other place, which is basically like a haunted house, like gothic vibes, crumbling mansion, and they need to complete these tests and trials in order to become lictors, which are powerful beings. And these ones were selected to go over there. They're the heirs to their houses and stuff, and they have to just fight for this knowledge and the right to become a lictor. But slowly, they all start dying one by one, and they're trying to figure out if one of the other competitors is killing them, or if there's something more sinister hiding in this house that is going after them. And this is just such a funny and insane series. Book one, Gideon the Ninth, plays out the way it does because our narrator is Gideon, who is very just much not focused on anything. So you don't really find out certain things until you get to Harrow when she is narrating. And just, it is so funny and so messy and so jaw-dropping, very sapphic as well, has some of the most beautiful and heart-wrenching scenes I have ever read. And just if you love Kate Vi from Arcane, you need to read this series because you will adore it. Like it is so they're so similar in so many ways, but it is just honestly one of the most beautiful series I have ever read. But let me know if you have read any of these series and if you have a favorite or what your must read fantasy series is. But I'll see you all with another video next time. Make sure you like and subscribe. Bye.